you're willing to be the content creator, all you have to do, this is very crazy. It's only two simple things. It's gonna sound so ridiculous, like a grandmother. This portion is like with me, so I think this is when you need to get selfish. Like you need to ask your question. Hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. Like you gotta go fast. That's how you get shit done. That's how you figure stuff out.
This is the television, and the television is the radio.
So 4Ds, motherfuckers.
George, say hi to Gary. Take yourself off mute as well.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, Gary. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm from Bulgaria, 7 hours after your time. At the moment, it's 7 in the evening. I'm running a real estate brokerage. It's called Primo, and we have 30 agents here in Bulgaria, and I'll be delighted to discuss some questions with you. Thanks again.
Are you sure you're not in my office, my friend?
I would love to be, but unfortunately, I'm not.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man.
And now to Seattle, Washington, Jeremy, who's going to be bringing a bunch of CEOs into the 40s over the next few months. Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and say hi to Gary?
Thanks, Joe. Good morning, Gary. Jeremy Hill from Seattle. Run a company called JB Capital. We invest, make credit investments across the SME landscape across the country. I've been talking to Joe and James for a while and have one of our portfolio companies, Ryan, along with us today. So happy to share some time.
Real pleasure, my friend.
And with that, Ryan Hogan. Ryan, take yourself off mute and say hi to Gary.
Hey, Gary, Ryan Hogan, co-founder and CEO at Hunt to Killer. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but we send immersive murder mysteries each month episodically, and we have our eyes on digital. So great to meet you.
I love it. Real pleasure, Ryan.
And down here in Cali, we've got Russell McDonald. Russell, say hi to Gary.
Hey, Gary, how's it going? Russell McDonald. I am a mortgage broker in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Real pleasure, Russell. Thanks for being part of this.
Thank you.
And in California as well, we've got Dylan. Dylan, say hi. You're on mute, buddy.
Hi, Gary. This is Dylan, and I'm from Bay Area as well. We run a direct-to-consumer dental product company called Jess Dental Lab. We make custom night guard for people who grind their teeth at night.
A very important product.
Yeah, we help people sleep better.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Real pleasure, Dylan.
And
Same here.
We've got Ace and Jamie. Ace and Jamie, say hi.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, buddy? Ace and Jamie here.
Hi.
Real pleasure. Great to see you guys.
We run FMO Media out of Long Island, New York, and we help businesses grow their revenue through social media marketing. And we are pumped to be here and learn.
So let's go back and we'll start with George over in Bulgaria. George, you're got your moment in the sun with Gary. I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to try to aim for 12 minutes, but bear with me. So George, go ahead and start firing off some questions for Garyvee.
Thanks, Joe. Gary, first of all, sorry if I'm being so nervous. Second of all, congrats on the video that you posted today on Instagram and on no video. It really pumped me up for the 4G, so I'm really excited about it. Talking about our real estate brokerage, I've heard you a lot of times saying that if you do a real estate brokerage, it will be the best in the world. I don't doubt about it. Really, I have two main issues. If I have to ask you, and both of them are lead generation, because I have two core pillars in my business. The first of all is lead generating sellers that sell properties. Same in the US, the inventory is very low, so we have to find ways to creatively attract sellers and do the strategy. I mean, the funnel. And the second one is my scale is obviously based on quality real estate agents. We don't specifically aim to attract experienced agents. The idea is to communicate with the world the benefits of our company, and we recently launched a program of 100% commission for the agents. You have it in the States with Keller Williams, with eXp Realty. They have these capped commissions, 100% commissions, which actually after they placed a specific amount of money in the office for a 12-month period, the rest of the months until the 12 months, they take the commissions 100%, which is good for us because we do our annual budget, and it's good for them because they bring home a lot of money, which is really
I understand.
So basically, my question is how Gary would do the Gary way seller attraction and the real estate agents attraction with keeping in mind this 100% commission split.
Let me break it down for you. So I think let's talk about the real estate agents, and let's talk about it in real life. How many do you have? Let's start with that.
30 in the moment.
And how does the percentage of, let's call it exceptional, good, and average of that, what percentage are exceptional of those 35?
Out of 35 people, which is like 15%.
And how many are good?
Then we have, let's say, well, I have about 5 at the bottom. So that means that 20 are in the middle.
So I think that the way to think about it is a couple things. One, if you're not going after, there's two ways: not going after experienced agents or going after experienced agents, right? To me, I'm always gonna go after not experienced with a couple of experience. So you get a couple of experience because you need it. But I would spend all my time and energy on the training so that you could take literally bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, people that just want to get into it. What I've noticed from a lot of real estate brokerages is that they don't have a good training program and they're not actually committed to it. They're rolling the dice and they're hoping they get good people. They're not cultivating good people.
I got it.
So the way I would do it is I would spend more money than most people would expect on 1, 2, 3, 4, or me, George, me, Gary, spending a lot more time training up people. Most people don't want to do that because they always worry that, well, if I train them up and they get good, they might leave. It's a waste of time. The problem is you're in the business of people, right? That's the same problem I have at VaynerMedia. That doesn't stop me, right? And when you're a good person and you do the right thing, you can have a situation like I have with James and Joe and many people in my company where people stay a long time, not just a couple of years. So that's the real answer to attracting talent. I think you know this. You can get a lot more people that are raw, that want to get in, but where you have to spend more money than you are spending, or your time is on the cultivating of people, not Johnny's not good. You gotta end when the bottom 5 aren't good, you need to turn them and get rid of them in a nice way, in a human way, but they're taking up too much energy.
I would draw the message and build this machine of attracting this unexperienced people. I mean,
that's easy, and I'll explain why in a second, and really matters to your marketplace. So I have a very good understanding of the global market, but I'm not as up to date as I wish I could be on the Bulgarian market. So we have to talk about it. And I thought I might have walked in when James Orsini was talking about TikTok and why I like it. To me, it's always the same game. What I do know about Bulgaria with YouTube and Facebook and Instagram is there's scale there. And I believe for all of you, from, Christy with Red Vines to you to everybody is underestimating how much you can build a brand and build a business through social media branding. And so some people have decided finally you can do business through social media selling, but where the big disconnect in the world is social media branding. So George, the other thing is, how do you acquire somebody in Bulgaria who wants to maybe be a real estate agent? It's you, preferably, or somebody else making videos that say, are you happy with your job? Are you happy? Would you like to get into this industry? If you're naturally a good people person and you have good work ethic, this is a very lucrative industry. Come and fill out this form on Google Form, which then you would make a very good Google form where you would ask them to make a video, after they answer a bunch of questions, and then you and your team would go through a lot of them, but the applicants would come in heavy if you ran a very smart YouTube pre-roll campaign where you were making the videos and it was against interests like soccer, proper football, or against real estate. You can go broad of things that everybody likes in the country, food and wine, I know, because I know the area, proper football, but also your expertise. And then you can see how the numbers work. Are you getting better applicants from going broad, because it's everybody, or you paying more for very narrow real estate, but you're getting better applicants. You run that math, and that becomes the same thing for listings and awareness. It's just all, do people, like your game, you've got 35 human beings that are working to find and sell. Your job is to build brand. It's no different to why, I'll give you a good example. I don't think Ace and Jamie are here because they saw 7 good ads on Instagram or Facebook and we kept retargeting them. We've built the best brand for what they do. Once they became aware of this and went through the mind process, they're like, this is a good arbitrage for us. Same for you, right? I mean, look what you're literally doing right now. Your background of your screen is my branding mechanism.
Absolutely.
So I think you got to think about how to, if you're willing to be the content creator, I think that is a very big, and then all you have to do, this is very crazy. It's only 2 simple things. It's going to sound so ridiculous, like a grandmother. You have to be yourself and tell the truth. Now, the way I'm myself is very unique, and that's probably why I've done well. When I speak the truth, I also have the skill set of seeing, I don't like to say I see around corners, but I put in a lot of work to understand consumer behavior earlier than other people. And so between my uniqueness and my truth, which often most people don't agree with at first, but then it becomes reputation when you're right, you need to develop that over the next 3 to 5 years in the marketplace where all these 2 problems become a non-factor. And I think you do, what I mean by a non-factor is it starts coming to you instead of you chasing. The way you do that is in the underpriced nature of the social media platforms that are winning in the country. The end for everybody here. And then real quick, I apologize because I'm answering a lot of times for everybody because I want this to be very valuable. And then when you pick, let's say, again, I'll just use Christy because I am a huge fan of Red Vines. Like, what they're going to say on TikTok, which they know is more of a 15 to 30-year-old crowd, may be different than the ad they put on Facebook, which might be older, where they may tap into nostalgia, whereas with TikTok, they may tap into something relevant in culture. So you got to make different content. So if you go into LinkedIn and make videos, you're going to talk differently than you are as a pre-roll before a entrepreneurial piece of content on YouTube.
I got it. Thanks, man. I really wanted to hear it because since the last 4 years, this is what brought our brand to the place that it's now. And because we're following you for 5 years, and we do all this, and we have 2 podcasts and all those things that you're talking about.
So the key there is getting better at it.
Yeah,
like even like I've seen over the last 8 years with my brand and with the businesses I'm associated with, it ebbs and flows. Right? We're about to do a reorg on Team Gary, and I'm so confident what's going to happen, and I will be better at it in Q4 of this year than I've been the last year, because we're just making a bigger commitment to being even better on Pinterest, even better. I mean, in the last month, last 3 weeks on TikTok, I've done so much better because we've made a bigger commitment. We were at a 7, now we're at an 8.5. And when I hear what you just said, my concern is it's kind of like exercise. You went from doing none of it. Now you're doing some exercise, which is amazing. You've lost that kind of ridiculous 10 extra pounds you really didn't need. But everybody here knows, even if they're good at working out, they've got another 10 pounds, more cardio, more muscle. You could, and that's how I think about social media content and distribution. If I can get much better the way I even have in the last 3 weeks, I can't even imagine how much everybody else can. So I think pushing yourself further on being a platform strategist, really understanding the products every platform has, and then trying new platforms, especially when they have organic reach. And the big ones, like what, my friend?
Like TikTok.
Huge. I mean, TikTok for you, I know it's exploded in the country because we do the European business for them, and is a great avenue to acquire new agents who are young.
Yes, I'm doing it already. I still have 7,000 followers only, but I'm on it.
But the good thing with TikTok is it does not have anything to do with followers.
Yeah,
it's completely interest based.
Yep.
I have literally, my last two videos, one got 24,000 views, the next one got 7.9 million. It's completely interest-based. I have 7.5 million followers. I can get 25,000 views on a video because nobody gave a shit.
Got it. Thanks, man. Love you.
Cheers. Love you back.
So we're going to head up to Seattle and we're going to talk to Jeremy real quick, who has a question for you before we head to Ryan. Jeremy, go ahead.
Hey, Gary, how are you? Thanks for the time today. So, really focus for us is on providing value to our portfolio companies, right? And the guys that, which James and Joe have just been fantastic at helping. And so Joe is allowing me to be selfish, for 2 minutes before it is that we get to Ryan. So thanks for that. So our business is investing into making credit investments in the SME market across the country, right? So if you think about these companies that are past that friends and family, mom and dad, rich uncle round of raising money, but they're really not yet to a point to where the guys in Chicago, New York, or London can actually afford to pay attention to them. We're writing these kind of $5, $7, $10 million checks. So I guess the two pieces it is for us is really our audience by which it is that we want to communicate and build either brand value or audience with is really the family office, wealth manager, ultra high net worth guys. The institutions and pensions are not our investors. That's just not how it is that we're set up. It's the
so Jeremy, I apologize. We're now talking about not you acquiring deal flow, but acquiring LPs.
Acquiring LP entry. Yeah, exactly. We have an inordinate or a disproportionate amount of deficit to demand on deal flow, right? So every dollar we get in the door, we've got about $7 looking for it, which is, a first world problem. It's still a problem, but that first world problem, right?
Got it. So you've got companies you actually want to invest in. So you just need more. You want more capital into the fund.
Right. So we're raising capital into the fund. And so the two issues it is that we run into is I spent 20 years as an investment banker before moving from a advisor banker standpoint, investing principally off my balance sheet and then raising a fund alongside that. And so part of that is going back to the market and the constituents it is that normally were the folks it is that were writing checks on our behalf. Most of those guys, now we become competitors of, right? So it's
that's right.
Friendly to a certain degree, but adversarial to a certain degree as well. The challenge it is that we run into to a certain degree is the credit landscape is really made up of Apollo and KKR and Carlyle and like the big 800-pound gorillas, and then a modicum of smaller guys. And there certainly is the adage as you were growing up that nobody ever got fired for investing in Apollo. And so whereas we think that we may have something better and cooler and faster and shinier and all this other kind of shit, the guy that's managing $500 million of somebody else's money may love me, but if shit goes bad, he could lose his job. If shit goes bad for putting 10 million bucks on Apollo, nobody's going to blink.
I know it well. I know your landscape well. I understand. And then on the other side of the equation, you have too many high net worth individuals who want to do it themselves and don't want to pay a big, right? Like, as everyone, it's kind of for a lot of people, especially in my emerging class, it's more fun to do it themselves. They want to do it themselves. So there's that kind of like sweet middle that you really need to win on, right?
Yeah, and I think that we've done a good job of that, and it's certainly not a back pat of any time, but the big headache it is that we had is that ultimately we were going to make the move it is to move out of the middle and do from a principal position. I wanted to make sure that we created something that was markedly different than the other 1,000 credit funds that are out there, because there's no point in just being another fucking flavor of vanilla ice cream, right? Like, so you got French vanilla and vanilla bean, and like, no, not interested. Right. So the construct by which it is that we created, I think, well, I'm confident creates a degree of parity. It is that becomes attractive to the family offices because we're not locking up capital long term. I'm not charging them a management fee. We're not using leverage. All of those normal points of consternation it is that you have between.
So you're winning on the product, right? You're winning on the financial arbitrage. You've got a better financial, opportunity for the person on the other side.
Totally. Yep.
Now, what's the size of the check of currently of like your normal LPs, and are they really for the most part family offices, or do you get some high net worth individuals who don't want to do the work or have their own family office and view you as a good option?
Yeah, so individual, so for the old rich guy kind of individual checks, these are, you know, 100 grand to maybe $1 million. For the family offices and that kind of thing, these are $2 to $5, $2 to $7 million checks a piece. And then ultimately on the other side, the portfolio companies that we're investing in, I'm writing kind of $2 to $10 million checks.
Jeremy, I think you know, just to get to the punchline, because I've got enough context, I think the biggest thing that people don't understand is every company in the world right now is actually a media company. Like when I think about your business, I say to myself, even the way you were just talking, which built up this, it would have been my answer anyway, but it gave me more conviction. You know, I say to myself, fuck, if I can convince Jeremy to do a podcast and interview entrepreneurs, LPs, family office executives, you'd be stunned. Guys and gals who have not returned your email, even with a good career that you've had, to your point, because it's just, you know, it is what it is. You'd be stunned if there's that plum family office and that person you kind of want to have a relationship with, and you kind of knew them from back in the day, but they just haven't been responsive. When your email in the title says, hey, Carl, hey, Kyla, would love to have you on the guest of my podcast to talk about family offices, you would be flabbergasted. I mean, people like, because if you have the DNA of Mark Cuban or Ray Dalio or Mike Novogratz or Michael Rubin, you actually say yes to these things. Like I watch this is like my great fascination of how big this arbitrage is. You can't get the 4 people I just mentioned ever. You're a cockamanian tier 4 podcast and you say you want to be on, and 1 out of 9 times they say yes. So for me, why I like that is not only do I want you to do that podcast and kind of very on a hot take intuitively think you should be the host of it, and then you do successful entrepreneurs like the one you have here in that stage, tastemakers from the game like me for awareness, literally the people you're trying to say have, you know, sell to as a guest, which is like a mitzvah and a half. And then what's really cool is LinkedIn is such good organic reach. It's people are going to cry in 10 years when they realize they missed this golden era of LinkedIn that happened in 2017 through 2023, where you can just post and people would see it. And then, much like the content model I do, not only do you do that, the whole episode, but you take one little clip where somebody says something viral, you chop that up, you get one viral clip on LinkedIn. You'd be, I don't know how to say it other than you'd be downright fascinated how easy it is to close business. You know what the comp is? It's the media equivalent of how sad it is that sometimes getting sideline passes to a football game, taking somebody out for a golfing round to a club you can't get into, having a steak dinner with a $4,000 bottle of wine because the person's a huge wine collector. Humans make ridiculous big business decisions predicated on very little proxies that just happen to hit them on their interests. For you, you know, the right clip of a family office person getting 100,000 views on a LinkedIn and them getting an email from a buddy that they admire or someone they admire or old college friend saying you looked great on this show, you'd be stunned where your firm would be in 2 years. It's always the same game. The first 2 answers, build the moat that comes to you. But what's amazing about what I'm telling you to do here is you're actually hosting the dinner party. You're throwing the high school party. Your podcast, you're gonna get the people you're trying to sell to be your guests.
Yeah, and so we're doing the podcast now. So we're about 15 or 17 episodes in of that strategy that you're talking about. And Ryan's come on.
So let's break it down. The 15 to 17. How many of those guests are actually the decision maker at a family office that you would like to do business with?
Of the family offices, none. So this has been other fund managers, entrepreneurs, big business guys, friends of ours that we've helped go public, that kind of a thing first, right? Rather than retail.
Yep. I want you now that you have 15 to 17 in, of the next 15 guests, I want 5 of them to literally be the human that you want to pitch to be part of your fund, but none of that gets brought up in the courting them to be on the show.
Perfect. Can do.
Where are you posting clips of the podcast in video or audio form for its entirety on LinkedIn from your company's profile or your profile?
Links to the entirety, yes, not chopping it up. It is in little bite-sized pieces and doing it across social.
Right. So you're posting a link to the audio out of LinkedIn, correct?
That's correct. Haven't chopped it up and done that purely just from fucking resources, to be honest with you. More,
That's the answer.
Yep.
The investment of the resources to make sure it's done on video, either Zoom in real life, to then put fully in video and fully 5 clips per episode into LinkedIn, because it gets crazier than that, Jeremy. You can then run ads against employees of organizations. So check this out. Now you did the video thing that I need you to do. Now there's a good clip that organically did well, which is the market then tells you affirmation. Then you take that clip and you run it against all of the employees of Apollo, BlackRock, all of the, some of the firms you're going at that are family offices might be big enough to hit the radar on LinkedIn targeting. It's really quite scary how effective this actually is.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right.
You're welcome.
And we're going to zip over to Ryan Hogan, who's one of Jeremy's investments at Hunt-A-Killer. Ryan, go ahead.
Ryan, give me the context of what you're sending people.
Yeah, sure. So it's evolved over the years. We initially started off as I guess if you rewind about 7 years ago, I used to have an event called Run For Your Lives, which was the first ever zombie-infested 5K obstacle course race. We scaled that nationwide back in 2011. 12, we had our peak year. 13, that whole scene collapsed. Tough Mudder and Warrior Dash made it through a few more years. Then
did it collapse because there was too much supply? There was too many.
Collapsed.
There was 900 of them.
Yeah, I mean, not only were we competing at that point with Warrior Dash and Tough Mudder, but then every farm started seeing, tens of thousands of people on their property over any given weekend, and thought that they could do it themselves. And then Color Run and Foam Run and everything else coming in.
Yep, supply.
So
understood.
So fast forward to 2016. We launched another event called Hunt-A-Killer, and Hunt-A-Killer was basically, we used the same sort of concept that we used in 2010, which is we looked across the industry at different types of experiences that people were gravitating towards. 2016 was, the off-Broadway's immersive theater like Sleep No More. You've got escape rooms coming over from Europe and Asia. You've got obstacle races, which are still kind of prevalent. And so for us, it was all about, okay, well, how do we take these 3 things, combine them into just one gigantic immersive live experience? And that's when Hunt-A-Killer it came about, and we transformed a 200-acre campground into a living crime scene. The first event went great. The problem was that it just didn't scale. So when you think back to obstacle races, we can make $1 million, $1.5 million in any given weekend. For this, to keep it immersive and distort reality, we couldn't have thousands of people sitting around a staged crime scene. And so we looked at a different type of business model. 2016, loot crates, birch boxes, everything else. We said, okay, let's evolve this immersive storytelling concept into a subscription box platform. We did that, and that really became the flagship of Hunt-A-Killer, which was episodic deliveries each month of clues, items, and correspondence that arrived directly to our detectives' doorsteps. It went great over the next few years, but we saw the same thing that both Birchbox and Loot Crates and everybody else that's in that space, which is it's a game of increasing CAC and trying to fight off churn. So for us, it was about diversification and different things that we could do. So, right now our focus is really on diversification of revenue streams. We're currently sitting on the shelves of Target, Amazon. We've got licensing deals with Nancy Drew, Agatha Christie, Lionsgate.
How much is it?
Depends on the experience. So if it's a subscription, it's $30 a month. If you're buying us off the shelves of Target, it's $30 for a single experience. One's episodic, the other is all in one.
I understand. Keep going.
So I guess that was the whole background. The future for us is really about digital. Licensing is going great from an inbound standpoint. Now we're really looking at outbound. At the heart, we are a media company. We've known since day one we're a media and entertainment company. And so other ways that we can monetize and license that is very interesting to us.
Have you thought about standing up original characters from the original game and launching an NFT project?
We're not that sophisticated yet.
He
We
has
haven't
now.
thought that. Go ahead. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, what's crazy about it is it's, you know, I've done $51 million in revenue on VFriends in the first 68 days. Now, before you say yes, you had a big platform, this and that, Bored Ape Yacht Club, which came out of nowhere, has done hundreds of millions in the same 67 days. If you were to take and create your versions of Colonel Mustard and Sherlock Holmes and really go deep into character creation, because you're right, you know what's happening with Nancy Drew and all that. You become a platform, but then dilution and oversaturation, and you've been through 2 rodeos of oversupply and saturation, so you know exactly what's going to happen with the licensing part. It'll be that continued game. You can run that game longer, but what you want to be is the brand more so than renting out the platform, I think. And I think you're stepping in poop right now, being part of this 4Ds in the moment where I think I'm sitting at the forefront of the knowledge base of this. And I think your game and your whole concept that you are a media company, like you have to make a movie, a television show, a Netflix show, a video game, an iPhone game, or an NFT project, or you're going to get to some sort of new version of what you felt already twice, which is fine. I already know why Jeremy invested in you. Like, you show me an entrepreneur that continues to pivot, and I'll show you, and actually successfully pivot for moments in time. I'll show you an entrepreneur that's somewhere along the line going to find the thing that they don't have to pivot out of. So I love it. I'm like listening with like smiles. I really think you need to spend 25 hours of your personal time in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and really understand what the fuck is going on with NFTs, because I think you can change your business forever.
Interesting. That's a hard pivot. I wasn't expecting to get into NFTs today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's not even because I have a bug for NFTs right now. It's because I know what's going on. I know that if you have the creative chops, which I don't know if you do or don't, or if you teamed up with somebody did, that could create, call it 25 core characters from this game. And then you made, 400 tokens of each of them, made a 10,000 token play and went into the CryptoPunks Bored Ape Yacht Club kind of, environment, that if God forbid, AKA God willing, it went viral, not only would you make millions on that execution, it would then trickle down to your core business and give you a spike in that business that you wouldn't even understand.
Interesting. And the other interesting part, I mean, the television shows, the book deals, we've got a book deal with Scholastic. It'll hit shelves this fall. So like, we're doing all of those things, which is very exciting, but we don't necessarily own it. So it's what you're talking about. We're continuing to build the Hunt and Killer brand is extremely important.
It's actually the only thing you have. Like, I don't care what you're doing currently with it. Like, I do because you do and Jeremy does because that's your current P&L. But in real life, you're in the Smurfs, Scooby-Doo, VFriends, Pokemon, Sherlock Holmes, Nancy Drew business. And you've got to triple down on that part, not, hey, we don't have a big enough brand, we have this idea. Oh, we're good salespeople and tenacious entrepreneurs, and we're getting intellectual property to rent with us, JVing. It's giving us exposure. But every human really sees you as an afterthought when they buy it at Target. They're not buying you, they're buying Nancy. And you've got to become Intel, right? Like nobody thought about chips inside in that scenario. Like, you either have to build the brand of we're powering all these things, which I think is a very diminishing return hard game, or you get people to really give a shit about Donald the detective through this incredible arbitrage called NFTs, which then trickles down to your core business profitably. You like make a ton of money if you hit on the NFT. It's something I really, really want you to spend 25 hours on for a million different reasons. It will be, by the way, this is the answer to everybody in the room, and including Jeremy, who's in finance. Like, this is something that has to be understood the way that Internet 1.0 had to, and the way that social media had to. There's very big things going on in that world. It's the furthest thing from a fad that I can think of. The question becomes, do you have the character development capabilities? And if you don't, how do you do that? Because that'll be part of the equation, you know?
I guess the other question I would have is outside of NFTs. I mean, you're deeply familiar with the space and the headwinds that direct consumer has right now. You know, as we look at people reintegrating into society, as we look at Facebook and privacy and everything else that's going on right now.
iOS 14 is a challenge, no remarketing. I would become a master expert in TikTok ads and organic reach. Your business can explode and weather the storm if you became exceptional at TikTok influencer creator marketing and TikTok ad buying and creative. My preference, which is where I started, Rye, is that they're talking about Donald the detective, not necessarily the Finding Nemo version of the platform. You know what I mean? Because I want you to win twice. I don't want you to just win on the short-term CAC LTV business. I want to get you religious about what you're actually doing, right? Like, you know, I would tell you that, for example, with James on the call here, James.
Gary, you went on mute.
Yeah, you went on mute for some reason. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'll tell you why I did. My pinky touched it. Sorry about that, everyone. You know, James's career with me has been different than the way he's navigated because I was playing a different game of brand, not operational P&L. So there was probably a lot of, you know, I'm speaking for him, maybe he'll bring it up later. There was probably unique decisions at the time that felt foreign or different, or he's a bright dude. So he was like, I wonder why he's doing that. I'm sure I'll think, you know, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, worked or didn't. It was that I was religious about knowing what I was building. And, you know, for me, what excites me about your business, my friend, is if you're religious about understanding, you need to create characters in your game that people, like the fact that I can bring up Colonel Mustard is the reason Clue still sells.
Yep. Great points. And a part of that is in the licensing.
Can I give you a, Ryan, can I give you, I apologize. Can I give you a left field one? The reason I want you to make is you won't let you make a Halloween costume like I'm going to be doing with V-Friends. Once you figure out TikTok influencers, you get one to wear it. That becomes your own, and your business forever has changed. By developing the characters, you go into the home run business. Anything then can happen. Right now, you're in the Murray's and Birchbox. I wrote the first check at the Birchbox. You can Google the story. It was at Starbucks. They fried the whole thing. Like, the reason it lost is when you're in the conversion sales business, not the overall brand business, you eventually die.
Yeah.
It's why mascots work, right? And I just think you have a huge opportunity because you are in the media business. But I want your characters to not be like faceless. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I mean, do you think that they become the sub brand of Hunt the Killer? Like Hunt the Killer becomes the umbrella in which they are always a part of.
Of course. You've heard of Disney, but you also know who Mickey Mouse is. And let me give you some news. Mickey Mouse and Snow White is why you know Disney, not the other way around.
All right, guys, we got to move forward. Thank you very much, Ryan, for sharing that. Russell, down in California, you're up next.
I apologize, Russell, before you go. Ryan, one last thought, which is to the question you thought we were going to answer. It will be TikTok ads that save your butt on CAC and LTV.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That was the main question.
I know it was, which is why I brought it to the end. Go ahead, Russell.
Excellent. Thanks, Gary. So my company, YMAX Capital, is a mortgage broker in the Bay Area. We are more of a B2B model than B2C.
Yep, I'm aware.
And so what we do is we partner with tax pros and financial planners, get them licensed, and teach them how to provide mortgages for their clients.
I totally understand.
This is important because it is illegal to pay someone a referral fee in our industry.
I'm
So
aware of
they
all that
actually
too.
have to do the work. And what I did is I actually created a proprietary system that makes it very easy for them to do all the steps and do all the work without actually really knowing everything. Okay.
I understand.
Cool. So I started working in this family business in 1991, came up with these ideas that everyone said, no, you can't do it that way. And, you know, I did all the research and over several years came up with the systems. In 2015, the founders decided to retire and I was passed over to inherit the company. It was given to my little brother and the other founder's son. My father was one of the founders, okay? In 2018, they fired me, kicked me out of here.
Why?
And my wife and I'm sorry?
Why?
They didn't like the fact that the IP was owned by another company where I was one of the owners. We have a software company that's owned by 3 people. So they didn't like that.
They decided
I was a danger because I had ownership in the tools that made them all their money. So they knew I had permission to start my own company anytime I wanted to and actually take the IP with.
I see.
So they fired me in 2018. My wife and I started a new company, Tradmore, in 2018, which is another brokerage, which is tiny because it's really hard to start from zero. You know that. And then my brother and his partner realized they don't like running a company. They don't like mortgages. So I bought them out May 1st of last year.
Interesting. Okay.
Last year was the company's best year since 2012. Back in 2012, the company was twice as big. So I've brought some different changes that I wanted to do now that it's mine. I changed the compensation plan for the agents. I'm reaching out a lot more to my agents, trying to make them feel supported.
You're actually running the business.
That's what I'm doing. And there's been a lot of mismanagement over the years, Frank.
Yep.
So I'm trying to do everything I can to increase morale. It's been really tough since we can't get together, you know, because we were basically forced to close right before I took over. And so everything's been virtual now instead of meeting in person.
Right.
But I try to reach out to all my best people several times a week. Hey, how's it going? Do you need anything? I made sure to meet with each of them at Christmas time, went to their homes and brought them a gift, which the company's never done. Just all kinds of stuff.
Good news. I've got the full context of this story. Let's get into the question. I understand what's happening.
So my question is, because what we do is a little bit unique, how do I?
Hold on, somebody's talking. Go ahead.
How do I get the message out to the independent CPAs, tax pros, financial planners to entice them into listening to the message so they want to offer the service to their clients?
Do you know what is going on with Facebook groups?
I'm in several Facebook groups, but what do you mean?
I believe that Facebook groups for this kind of scenario are an incredible super weapon. I think your company should start many Facebook groups, and you should hire after, you or because you've got what I've got, which is like you like scaling unscalable things.
Yes.
Because that's how business is done. So now what I'm going to do for you is try to give you a model that scales unscalable things that are still unscalable, but are much more scalable than what you're doing, right?
I love it.
Facebook groups. So for example, that's a couple questions. Is the business regional by nature or no?
So each state has its own licensing requirements. So we are in California and Utah right now.
Perfect. Let's start there. Let's just start there. I think you should take the 7 biggest cities in those 2, or the 7 your favorite cities to target, because maybe SF and LA and even Salt Lake City might be too competitive. But let me tell you what I would do. If you create many different Facebook groups that are either broad or narrow, right? So literally this is what you name your group: the Salt Lake City Mortgage and Real Estate Friends Group. That's it.
Okay.
Then you run Facebook ads against real estate employees or real estate interests or whatever the targeting capabilities are of Facebook right now. in that area, right? You promote it. You look at your current business and figure out what city, like what I want you to do is get the industry into your Facebook group where you're the host. A bigger, slightly different version of what I just told Jeremy to do. Jeremy, higher touch, bigger checks. I want him to host the party, own the podcast. I know what he's done for his 15, 17 guests, but notice the little tweak. Jeremy, two things. You gotta get the you gotta get the decision maker to be your guest because you're gonna get a relationship, and you need to make video and create content. For you, I want you to stand up Facebook groups. I believe Facebook groups is one of the incredible arbitrages because you're basically becoming the PTA, the Chamber of Commerce, virtually. The virality, Russell, is insane. If you run ads and spend $2,000 and get 91 people, let me say that number again, 91 people into that Facebook group for the Fresno Real Estate and Mortgage Friends group, you are gonna wake up if you work it, put in questions, say hi to people. If you work it, which is why you have to scale this a little bit, you will wake up one day in 7 months and go, how the hell does this have 9,000 people in it?
Okay.
What's amazing about that 500, 700, 9,000 people is they're so targeted. And just like the book I wrote, Jab, 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 Right Hook, when you're just putting out good information, you're talking about the market, you're talking about family, work-life balance, it's a friends group. You're jabbing. But then every 12th time, first of all, they're gonna look at your bio, who's this guy that started the group? And in your bio, you're gonna have a link to your business. So you're not even gonna have to fucking say it. They're gonna start asking you questions like, Russell, what do you do? You will be flabbergasted what a Facebook group can do for your business model.
Awesome. That's a completely different direction than I thought you were gonna take me, so cool.
Good. It's bringing value. Both, right? For the last, it's always like, where do you think? And you've got the rest of my team there because I put out enough information on that. You can cross your T's and I's the rest of the day. But again, much like NFTs, for the last answer, please spend, Russell, and I know you will already, which is why I love the context the first 3 minutes. Spend 10 hours meeting and watching YouTube videos about Facebook groups.
Okay.
Don't pay for bullshit. Don't pay for bullshit courses from all those internet spammers. There's plenty of good information on YouTube of how to run a Facebook group, but it will work, brother. It will work if you make them very regional. Don't make it California, because now you're competing. It's too general. You want to win regionally. Got it? Fresno, Sacramento. You can go even smaller. You may know where there's a hot pocket where you want to do business or where you used to do business really well and you want to reboot it. It could be a fucking city. It doesn't even have to be a town. Like you can go very narrow if you want. That's how you can do it. But then you've got to be the Pied Piper and the mayor in there. Or start to hire one person underneath you to scale it.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
It's gonna work. You're welcome.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
Next, we're gonna talk to Dylan. Dylan, who's also in California. Say hi to Garyvee.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Dylan.
So I fire away my question right now, right?
Yep. Go for it.
All right, awesome. So I have two main questions. One relates to branding. The other one relates to hiring and training. So I'll fire out with the branding first. So from the way that you do branding, Gary, I can see it has a really big overlap between your business and also your branding, audience, people that are entrepreneurs, people that are, are hustlers, right? So I feel like there's a good mix there. For me, our product is teeth grinding. And when it comes to content, there's just so much you can talk about when it comes, bruxism, teeth grinding, stress. So one of the things I thought about was, talk about things that people that are in teeth grinding might be interested in, what our targeted audience would be interested in. Maybe, when we run ads, we can see the demographics and interests and all of that. So we could create other related type of topics to talk about, like maybe yoga, maybe meditation, maybe, stress management, but not really to teeth grinding, right? So my question is, how do I play the game of personal branding versus business branding? So I can come from the angle of personal branding and talk, even talk about things that aren't related to, our dental business at all. Maybe it's talk about my challenges as a business owner.
Yeah.
Right?
Or like I do with the jets and garage sailing, or wine, or that you like fishing. The answer is going to be both, Dylan. I am blown away by people's fascination with or. The answer is both. And
right.
You do
You're
them
talking
both
about
to the
both.
best. Yeah, you and the company's handle
Right.
doing the best it can. Yes. By the way, I don't want to be a dead horse. I genuinely believe your product could go viral on TikTok.
Okay.
We're showing that with
haven't-
Harvest Dental right now, Gary, and a couple people on TikTok doing a lot of stuff with dentures, believe it or not.
Okay. Thanks for the answer. So not all.
Aware, I mean, one of the first major TikTok breakouts that were
Hey, Gary, we lost you. You might want to turn your video off for a minute to let
Oh.
your phone boot back up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I lost you for a while there. I wasn't really. I thought it was my internet connection problem.
No, it was mine, Dylan. So yes, the answer is both. And
Right.
and I bring up the TikTok thing because and James brought up the dental thing. I think you can really, if any consumer product like you, especially yours at the price range and what the benefits are for stress, mental health, like you can make one video once you understand TikTok, which may take several months. That's like cramming for your tests and struggling. It's actually your teeth grinding. And for some reason, it just goes. You can't believe what I'm seeing with one post on TikTok changing DTC business results.
Yeah, that was very interesting. We mentioned about one video you had over 1 million views, the other one with just 27,000, where it's interest based, not follower based. So definitely gonna be testing that out. The second question is actually related to what you just talked about, which is the video going viral, which is our production capacity, because everything is handcrafted. So the scaling of the business is hinges strongly on how much production, how many trained technicians we can hire and train. Here in the Bay Area, cost is relatively high, and as a technician, you're really not gonna get paid a lot of money initially because it's a skill based. So you acquire skill as as time go on. So it's not a really attractive career per se initially, because you're really just being a apprentice initially. So our hiring and training strategy right now with one of the pointer I picked up one of the earlier answers you had to the other I forgot his name, but
the first one,
invest heavily on the training
of
the technician.
If you and George made content that I'm going to be paying you for me to train you, your whole deal flow of talent would change. If you and George made the same fucking video that said, we have done this internally in our company so that we're literally paying you while we're actually training you. So not like college where you pay to get something that helps you get a job. We're gonna be paying you on your job and we're gonna be training you. You'll have a totally different funnel of people coming to you.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's
you just have to make those videos. You have to put them on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn and get good at it, TikTok, and then that will then change that flow. It will work.
Thanks for confirming that. Yeah, so that's one of the things we but one of the factors we stress during the interviewing process, explaining to them why the initial pay is low, because of there are a lot of training, a lot of education going on. And I think that's the next thing we're going to be doing is actually launching some campaign, like you said, the paid ad campaigns, and really target the people in our local area and talk about this point and some of the other key points of why they should start a career as a dental technician, and really and change the funnel.
Make the video punchy, fast, and contextual. Send it to a landing page that explains it in detail. The mistake that most people make in your situation is they try to explain everything in the video, and then the video doesn't do well. Make the video interesting, thumb-stopping, with a link to the full description.
Right. Okay, sounds good. That's really
awesome.
all I have. Thanks a lot.
Good.
had a quick follow on about how to find influencers in each of their niche. Is there any recommendations you have? Does it work with an outsourced agency? Is there a tool you prefer?
When you say out, I want to make sure I get clarity on that. Can we get clarity on that? When you say influencers, we're talking Jeremy now, like guests, like what, Jeremy, are you asking like the guests that you're looking for?
No, when you're talking to Christy and each of these guys, you're talking to identify the, the top.
Yes, got it.
How do each of these guys go do that and find those guys?
If you go to Google right now and you say the top followed people on TikTok or the top ranking podcasters, you literally have your answer in 2 hours.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
And then what happens, usually those lists are only top 100 or top 1,000, Jeremy. And then you start digging, right? You start looking like you get into the trenches of Instagram and TikTok, and you just start clicking around of like who's following who and what, and you just see verified check marks, and you start it's actually like research work, but it's all there. All right, team, looking forward to it. I apologize that we ran out of time, but that's in a weird way, Ace and Jamie, that's going to end up being good news because I have a weird feeling it's going to work out for you. So I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
YouTube watcher, what's up? It's Garyvee. First of all, thank you so much. I hope you're doing super well during these times. I also want to ask you, please subscribe because my commitment and exploration of YouTube is about to explode. Stories, polls, more content, more engagement, more surprise and delight. This is the time to subscribe. I hope you consider it, and I hope I see you soon.